I'm Trent, and this is Vision Preparedness. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Good to see everybody in the chat. Greet some folks here as everybody rolls in. We got Dan H. Good to see you, my friend. Johnny Preps. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Ontario Prepper, my good friend. Hope all is well with you. Penny Pinching Prepper. Good to see you as well. Then, you come on down and I got my amazing moderators, my Ride and Die Triple Threat Firearms and Defense Inc. Good to see you. And Miss Donna Divine Prepping. Good to see you as well. Hope everybody's having an amazing Thursday. My Renaissance Grandma. Good to see you too. The Virginia Bushcrafter. Good to see you, my friend. I saw you drop the video. I'm going to have to go watch it a little bit later tonight, and we will get there. Hope everybody is doing well. 5x5. Thank you, Ontario Prepper. James Price. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Butter Roll Boutique. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Julianne, welcome. Prepper Book Club. Good to see you. Jeep Girl. Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. We have with us, back by popular demand tonight, folks. And I'm so proud to call my guest my pastor. Good to see you, Just Josh. Good to see you. Grab a seat, sit down, get comfortable. You may want to put on your seatbelt after tonight. But with that, folks, do me a favor, smash that like button. Let's throw off the YouTube algorithms. And again, for all of you that joined in on the 1K celebration we had last Sunday, I just want to say you again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And all the winners, if you have not emailed me your address, please do so at visionpreparedness@gmail.com. And everything hopefully is going out this weekend for sure, for sure. Chine Moss Farm, good to see you. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's had a great day and looking forward to the weekend. It is cold here in Ohio and a balmy 31 degrees with snow, rain, and everything else you want to call it. And that's how it rolls here in Ohio. So with that, folks, I've got some great information. And for those of you that normally join me during a live stream on Thursday nights, I share secrets. I got another secret to share with y'all tonight. Registration for Bug Out Weekend will be opening up hopefully tomorrow. And you can register for the Bug Out Weekend here in Ohio, June 2nd through the 4th. With that, folks, or without that further ado, I would like to bring on our special guest for the evening. I call him Pastor because he is my pastor, my good friend, a great man of God. He's a straight shooter, and he doesn't hold nothing back. And hopefully this video doesn't get shut down by YouTube, but that's okay if it does. We'll just do it again and come back, because everything he speaks is the truth. And with that, folks, I would like to bring up to the screen to my pastor, Pastor Jeff Haygood. How are you this evening, Pastor?
And I am doing great. It's been a beautiful day. And
yes, it has.
I've enjoyed every minute of it thus far. So let's get to cracking.
Let's get to cracking. Once again, folks, if you have questions you want to ask Pastor Jeff Haygood or myself, at the top of the chat box, you can hit the ask question here button, type in your questions, and we'll get to them. So tonight, Pastor, 2023, it's here, and 2022 is in the books, and we're done with it. And let's talk about first of all, what do you foresee happening in 2023 that we need to look out for?
There's actually a lot. I think this year is going to be there's going to be a lot going on this year. I think we best keep our eyes open, our ears open, and our hearts open to God, because there's going to be a lot going on in 2023. And I hope with this group, I think you may be ahead of the curve as far as being able to see sooner, clearer, and farther. All of those are going to be important. See sooner, because some people will see what's happening, but they'll see it a little late. For instance, I had made a social media post a week or so ago and did my best to not get kicked off or suspended for what I say. So I try to phrase things in a way that will make the point without getting the social media police to knock on my door. But I asked the question, if you had known that it would not keep you from getting it, would not keep you from spreading it, would not keep you from getting sick from it, would not keep you from dying from it, would you still have taken it?
Ooh, good statement. I like that.
Well, and here's the thing. Those of you that have been around, especially Trent, really early on, I did my best to blow the trumpet and tell people that I thought there was some really dangerous. Anytime the government is trying to force you to do something, you have to. I won't even take it with a grain of salt. I'm not taking it at all. The government does not have my best interest at heart. They are what they are. They're the government.
Yes.
Now, let me answer your question and do it as succinctly as I can. So what is going to happen? What do I see happening in 2023? Number one, economic uncertainty like we haven't seen since the Great Depression.
Okay.
Economic uncertainty like we haven't seen since the Great Depression. You've already heard it. I've been in meetings on a corporate level where the company I'm affiliated with had one of its best years ever. First quarter 2023, they're talking mass layoffs. Tell me that makes sense. You had your best year ever last year. You ended 2022 with your best year ever. First quarter 2023, you're not increasing staff. You're not investing in research and development. You're not expanding your portfolio, your advertising. You're cutting back. It's because even though they may not have the eyes that you or I have, they can see what's coming. Economic uncertainty, massive job cuts and layoffs. This all is leading to something. So give me just a moment. Please forgive me for speaking long. Inflation's going to continue. It's going to lead us to a deeper recession, even to the level of a depression. It's all going to happen, especially toward the end of 2023. But I will say this, it's a part of a plan.
Yes.
The other thing that I want that's already been put into play, and we'll see how far it gets in 2023, but the rollout is upon us. And this one is extremely dangerous. And that is the transition to digital currency.
Yes.
If and when we go to that, it's ball game. Because with the press of a button, they can eliminate all wealth that you have accumulated through the entirety of your life they can just stop it. And you want to talk about the mark of the beast and bringing us to a point where we cannot buy and sell. That right there is the pivotal thing. It is the axis upon which the probability of that all turns. So the digital currency. So where is this all leading? Yeah. It's leading to a culture of control. It's a culture of control. And you cannot control people who are affluent. So, and we'll get into a little detail here in just a minute. It's a culture of control. So the digital currency is probably the first part. That's a game changer. Then the planned food shortages that we've already seen. Yes. It's, you know, I don't go to the grocery store much, so please forgive me. But eggs at $5 a dozen. Yeah. This food is planned. It's not like chickens are all of a sudden not having sex.
Correct.
All of a sudden, chickens don't want it anymore. Somebody's handing out chicken condoms or something because there's no eggs.
I told y'all he don't hold no punches. He holds no punches, and he's absolutely correct.
So the food shortages, we're going to see more of that in 2023, which makes it's going to lend itself to greater inflation, food shortages. You've already seen. I talked to a friend of mine who's a real estate mogul, as it were, to a degree, in the southern United States. Talking with him yesterday, he says in the state of Georgia, they're expecting, they're forecasting, they're prognosticating over 1 million foreclosures in 2023.
Wow. A million.
One state, 1 million foreclosures in 2023. All of those really smart people that went out and bought a house at an inflated price with a bloated interest rate, they bought a third of the house that they actually paid for. And so you're going to see that those chickens are going to come home to roost. Exactly. Another thing that's going to get more and more prevalent, and let me tell you, you guys are smart. I want to stay away from medicine in every way possible, unless it is an absolute, I'm going to die in the next 2 seconds. I'm not taking any medicine. I don't want it. They're using it to control you, because who or whoever controls your health controls your life. And I want the Lord Jesus Christ to control my health. He is my healer. He is a balm in Gilead that can recover the health of his people. And I don't want medicine, because we've already seen what they're willing to do with medicine as a mechanism of controlling you. And it started with the vaccine. But at this point, hey, I don't even want to take the Viagra. I don't know. I'm not taking Not that I don't take Viagra. So
right.
That's the one thing. So it's the medicine. Energy is another thing with the whole climate change, which is the most farcical, nonsensical, silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. But they have, literally millions of people that believe that cow farts are changing the climate, and it's nonsensical. But they'll use it to control the energy usage. And I've spent time in third world countries, and when you get sideways with the government, they just cut off your energy supply.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're going to see that in the United States. Now we'll just kind of bring this in. These are some other things that are going where the rope is going to tighten a bit. First Amendment, we're already seeing it. You speak up, you speak out. You can rest assured that there's a couple of CIA agents on this channel right now. There's some FBI people that are monitoring. It is what it is. Once again, my first sermon that I ever preached in Zimbabwe got me hauled in for questioning.
Wow.
First sermon.
Wow.
Got me hauled in for questioning. And so I have firsthand experience with how this plays out. Doing stuff like this puts you on the government radar, because we're saying we don't want to be controlled. We recognize that the mechanisms for control are being put into play, and we don't want to be controlled. So if you don't think they're watching, then you're probably not on this channel.
That's true. That's very true.
First Amendment's coming under attack, that is going to include things like religious liberty. That's a big deal to me. I was in a room today. I chair something called the Joseph Council. It is the public policy arm. We do some things with local government and so on and so forth. We have our first big quarterly meeting today. And I spoke up in a way that caused most of the room to go silent. I did, and my wife thought they were going to kick my husband out of here. But even in a controlled environment like that, First Amendment, the person who's got enough courage to speak up is always going to become a target. And those of us that recognize the necessity to not only be that person, be that voice, but also be there for others as a beacon of light, keep speaking up, keep stepping up, keep preparing, keep getting ready, because it's going to be really, really important. The other thing is, and we've seen this happen in Columbus, is their Second Amendment stuff, they're creeping on us. We live in the city of Columbus, we live near the city of Columbus. Columbus has some new gun laws that they've just rolled out. And it's baby steps toward the day that they will disarm the citizenry, because a disarmed citizenry is very easy to control. I'll stop for a minute and let Trent get a word in as well.
You know me, I can sit and listen to you all day. But with that, folks, here's something that we'll talk about a little later, and I want to share this with you. And we will be right back. Hey, you right there. How you doing? Vision Preparedness here. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know, Bug Out Weekend, June 2nd through the 4th, 2023. You want to be there. Like-minded people are coming around from all over the country, and we're going to have a great time. We're going to hang out, we're going to meet, we're going to talk, we're going to learn some stuff. You need to be there. Don't miss it. That's June 2nd through the 4th, 2023. I got to get back to doing the things. Y'all be safe, and God bless. And with that, folks, registration will be open this weekend for the Bug Out Weekend. You got to be there. I'm even going to try to convince my pastor to come out with some amazing barbecue food that he can eat. So he will show up and join us, folks. So
you can rest assured I'll be there. And listen, the commercial is straight up fire.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And one of my guys, Steve Sessions, I need to give a shout out to him. He created it. The link to his website, stevescreativesessions.com. Go check him out. He's an amazing photographer and videographer. He does all of my videos, intros, outros, everything. He's a great guy. Check him out. Check out his YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're at it. So, Pastor, you literally, I'm sitting here trying to figure out where to go next, because you just dropped a whole bombshell in the first 30 minutes. So we're going to continue down this path of foreseeing what's coming in 2023 and how do we prepare for it?
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked, because I think there are some simple things, and I've said it more than once already, that you guys are probably ahead of the curve, but here's what I see that's important for people with eyes wide open to do in order to be prepared for what's coming. Save your resources. Stack up like never before. And I would say money, because that is a part of it, but I have less confidence in currency today than I ever have. So this kind of allows me to segue into the next. Now, keep you a box somewhere with some paper money in it, because while it still has value, you need to do that. Keep it somewhere where you can get to it and nobody else can, being some paper money. I don't trust the banking systems. You've seen what happened with the truckers in Canada last year.
Yes.
They shut down bank accounts. And so they
Yes.
cannot shut down your black box. So I'm not saying you keep it all there. But you keep some. I see a question. I'm going to get that one. Remind me of that one about the churches. So save the resources, your money, your food, your ammo. You're going to need those. Save those. Second thing I want to mention, this one's going to be important for us: micro entrepreneurship, which I think is going to be very important because there has to be a mechanism that's off the grid where we can acquire things. Tradable commodities. What can you grow?
Right.
What can you make? What service can you provide? This is something that is best done off the grid, where you don't. There's no record of it. So it's me taking peas over to Trent's house and coming back with corn or whatever it is. It's tradable commodities. The way things are going, it's going to become vitally important for us to have literally a co-op of tradable commodities within the community, so that we don't have to depend on the government system. Exactly. Here's another thing I think is that I think is worth mentioning, and that's deal with any debt concerns as soon as possible. It will be used to control you. The Bible tells us that the borrower becomes a slave to the lender. And so if there's outstanding debt that you can eliminate as much of it as you possibly can, because it's only a way to track you, trace you, and control you.
Very true. Very true.
So here's a question. What role do you believe churches will have in 2023 as opposed to 2022 and 2021? I actually believe that the real church, the remnant church, is going to have to become much more radical. I was called by someone today in a meeting of pastors and leaders, and I was called militant. So someone said, well, Jeff's very militant. No, I realize that the sand is in the hourglass and time is running out. And if we sit around and we piddle fart and pay tiddlywinks, then we're all going to be left with our pants down when it's too late. And so we have to really be about it. So I think in this season, the church has to become much more militant and function more like a community rather than an entertainment venue.
Exactly.
So, the entertainment venue, you go there for the concert. When you leave, you have no interaction with the people you were at the concert with. And churches have been able to exist that way, but that's got to change. The entertainment venue concept of the church has to change, and we have to become a real community where we are, when I say supporting each other, I bring what I have to the table. It was the early church in the book of Acts. You bring what you have to the table. And the Bible says under those circumstances that nobody had too much and nobody had too little. I think that is that is what the emerging church in 2023 has got to become versus a great entertainment venue.
You couldn't have said it better, Pastor. That's absolutely correct. And again, folks, if you have questions you want to ask Pastor Jeff Haygood, hit the chat box at the top, drop your question, and we'll get right to it as soon as we can. So, Pastor, you know, what you just said is what every content creator in the prepping community, including myself, have been saying. Everything. And what really is interesting, that as a pastor, as a husband, as a father, grandfather, friend, man of God, you see exactly the same thing that our community sees, yet they call us crazy.
Well, I would say this, you know, I obviously I am a pastor. I'm also, you know, engaged in corporate America.
Right.
And it is a remnant that actually sees this. It's not most of the pastors I know think that their church is the insulation they need against what's coming. And I think you don't recognize it. The church as it's currently constructed is really not prepared to deal with what's coming.
Right. Exactly.
Not prepared to deal with what's coming. So what happens? Let's think here a minute. There's this economic downturn coming. The church has been able to survive on tithes and offerings.
Yes.
What happens when those tithes and offerings go dry and the people that are sitting in your pews don't have income? The whole construct of the church now has got to change. Okay, you're no longer bringing in $30,000 a week or $15,000 or even $5,000 a week. That well may dry up or get pretty close to drying up. So what do you do then?
Right.
I think you have to think in terms of, okay, let's build a community that is not an entertainment venue. We're not going to spend another dime on lights or any of that stuff. That day, that's the 2021. That's the 2022 church. The 2023 church is buying ammo.
There you go. See, you heard it, folks.
It's building a barn where we can store things that as a community will need when the need arises. That's correct. The 2023 church.
Exactly. We do have we got quite a few questions. First question is, what simple things have you done in your local community to build a proactive, united community?
Honestly, nothing. That's the honest truth. We really haven't.
Right.
I've concentrated my efforts thus far on securing the home front. I want to make sure. I want to make sure that me and my wife are talking about how little 1,000 bottles of water is for a family. Yeah. We're thinking, hey, we had 1,000 bottles of water. We'll run through that pretty quick if push comes to shove. And so recognizing how, okay, we're not going to send money to Ukraine when we haven't taken care of home. And so since I've just more recently came into, let's say, the revelation of the necessity for doing these kind of things, let's make sure we have our stuff together with our family's plan, our emergency plan, enough stuff to sustain us for a year is really the goal. And then we are thinking I haven't done anything community wise, especially my local community. For me, it's going to be the community of people, not the physical locale. So it'll be myself, it'll be Trent, it'll be guys like Steve, who's I think he may be on with us today. That's the community, and amongst that group, we're going to take care of each other, both from a sustenance perspective and a security perspective.
That's true. That's very true. We have another question from Prepper Book Club. Pastor, what is the number one problem you see in your flock right now?
Complacency. Because we have a way of, the old song says, I've got a feeling everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And one of the roles of a shepherd is to make people feel as though everything is going to be all right. But Paul said, I cease not to warn you day and night with tears. So there's another aspect of that where there has to be a warning. Listen, our church, from a church perspective, is doing well. Our attendance is really good. We're adding people to the kingdom. People are getting born again. They're adding. Our church is growing. We're in a good place as far as that's concerned. Now, what I'll say about it's a challenge, because there's the church. Then there is the community within the church. And this is a challenge, but I thought about this. There's certain things that we can only be so organized with because organization puts you on the radar.
Yes, that's
true. And so it has to be communal more than organizational. And there will be things that we have to do that even everybody in the church can't know. The people who told the government about my sermon in Zimbabwe were sitting in the audience while I preached. I didn't
Wow.
know them from anybody else.
Right.
And all I did was preach that Jesus is a revolutionary. And he
Okay.
is.
Yes,
I
he is.
wasn't thinking about the government. It didn't cross my mind. Long story short is there will be, even groups like this, there's only so much you can say publicly.
Right.
Nobody's planning to do anything. Just for those CIA or whoever you are listening, nobody's planning to overthrow the government. Nobody's planning to go on any kind of military crusade. That's not the point. We just want to survive.
Exactly. Amen. So our next question from Hoot Owl Holler, Pastor, do you think churches will become co-ops on the side for their people?
I think we have to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll survive if we don't. That is necessity for survival. The church is largely an entertainment venue as it's currently constructed. If we don't become a co-op, now we won't become a social services agency. I want us to make sure we get this. We won't become a social services agency. A social services agency will give to people who aren't contributing. The co-op, everybody takes ownership and they're bringing whatever it is they have into the whole. So yes, right. Co-op, yes. A social services agency, no. That is also a recipe for the demise of the church when you have consumers and no producers.
No producers. Yep, exactly. And folks in the chat, that's what I've been talking about. Start becoming a producer and less of a consumer. Our next question, Pastor, is from Rip Curl Readiness. Do you condone and encourage carrying a firearm at church? Rip, you just, before you answer that, Pastor, Rip, you just opened a can of worms, and that's why you see this man smiling. Go right ahead,
Let
Pastor.
me say this. Before we had an actual security team, I used to preach with a firearm on my ankle. And I'll tell you why. When that church got shot up in South Carolina, one of the things I'm thinking, I'm a shepherd. One of the roles of a shepherd is to protect the sheep. And, you know, it used to be that the sheep was a wolf. Now the sheep is a wild-eyed person walking in with a firearm trying to kill people, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop him. So, full disclosure, I don't generally take a firearm to the pulpit with me these days. I have a dedicated security staff, and they can kind of do those things. However, please do not get it twisted. Because just because you don't think I have one doesn't mean I don't have one. Or you don't know who does have one. Our security group doesn't walk around with yellow shirts on saying I'm security. It's like, no, you're a dummy. Don't ever tell somebody you're security in those situations. You don't know who it is. So I think that it's important to be prepared with shootings that are taking place in church. If you're not prepared, you're not doing a good job as a shepherd.
Amen. I agree. Our next question from Ontario Prepper. What's your take on gun bans and the disarmament by law-abiding firearm owners on both sides of the border?
Well, I don't know what's on the other side of the border.
Canada is what they're talking about. Canada.
Okay, let's say North. Okay. Canada's a little different. I think we ought to make them the 53rd, 52nd, and 53rd state because they can't figure out what they're doing, and we should probably just take over. North America, we should just make everything a state, call it a day. But I saw a story today where there is a firearms company that makes a piece that you put on an AR-15 that makes it automatic, and that wasn't the issue of the story that really stuck with me. They said they were going to go to everybody who already has one and take it back.
Yeah.
I thought, whoa, you're going to come take something that I purchased?
Right.
That is very problematic. And so Anytime the government wants to disarm people, it is not
Mhm.
for the benefit of the people that are being disarmed. So
Very
whether that's
true.
America or Canada, I don't like the idea of that. Now we have problems. We really do. We have problems with. I'm going to use a word that I hate the way it sounds. We have problems with gun violence in this world. The reason we
Mhm.
have problem with gun violence in this world is because the Bible says the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has only a short time. It's
Right.
just evil. Evil is in
Mhm.
the world. Edmund Burke said the only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to stand by without a firearm
Mhm.
or stand by and do nothing. And
Mhm.
so we have to protect ourselves, whether we're in Canada, whether we're in America. We also want to protect our family. And so I
That's
don't like
right.
the idea of a government. Now, I don't know what the laws are in Canada. I don't know if they have anything akin to the First Amendment,
They
but
don't.
here, the Second Amendment, I'm sorry. But here we do.
Mhm.
And I think we should fight for it. I don't want them come. I don't have a lot of guns. I know they're listening. I don't have a lot of guns. I have enough to protect my family in the crisis. I'm not a
Mhm.
firearms. I'm not crazed a firearm person. I'm not spending 200 grand on firearms or anything like that. It's not going to happen. But I do want to be conscientious about the necessity to be a protector of my home and my family,
Amen.
and from a shepherding perspective of our church.
Exactly. And to answer your question, Rip, yep, I'm going to drop our church's YouTube channel. We have services on Sunday at 10 a.m., Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And we have tons of questions, Pastor. So yeah, folks,
Let them rip.
I am. So next question is, this is from Penny Pinching Prepper. What is your opinion on the fact that we're less than 1 year away from having a 2-year-old blemish-free red heifer in Jerusalem?
What in that?
Hey. Penny, if you can expound on that, we'll get back to that. Next question is from one of my guys, Mad Chad, who's in Cleveland. He said, is there room in the church? Is there room in the church community for a non-Christian to be a part of?
Well, yeah. I mean, can a non-Christian attend church? Yes. Can a non-Christian involve in themselves in certain aspects of the community overall? Yes. Ecclesiastically, a non-Christian is not going to get involved in the ministerial ecclesiastic aspects of the church. But there are other things that are community and not necessarily church.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So, wow. We're 45 minutes in and we've pretty much talked about everything on the world. So, Pastor, expound on, you were talking about a economic crisis. What do you see in the housing industry and the possibilities, like you said, of the people in Georgia talking about these people, 1 million people losing their homes?
Well, here's the thing. You guys are probably familiar with the World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So their whole goal, and they are, organizations like BlackRock that's buying up all the residential houses. It didn't make any sense to me why they're just they're outbidding every Tom, Dick, and Harry because they have deep pockets and they can buy up all the property. Their whole goal was to have everybody renting. And if
Mm-hmm.
everybody's renting, obviously, once again, you're in control. You own nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So their goal is they own everything, and so those of us that own property, I don't know what their means mechanism is going to be, but they're probably going to start putting some kind of, or try to put some kind of pressure on us because they want to control. I mean, you've heard the term landlord. Whoever has the land is lord.
Yes.
And so real estate's, it's the only thing you can't make more of per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, we're going to be challenged in that area in days to come. They want to get to the point where they can control that. And those who are trying to buy, almost going to be impossible to buy anything significant. If we're smart, we'll buy up as much farmland as we can, and what we live in will probably mean very little. Because at the end of the day, who cares if you're living in a house like the one the Fresh Prince lived in Bel Air, but you have no power, you have no food. You'd rather be out on the land somewhere by yourself where you could. I have a friend named Donovan Larkins. Actually invited him to get on tonight. Donovan, he has a ranch right outside of Dayton, Ohio. He creates all his own power. He's off the grid.
Nice. That's the way to do it. Self-sustainable. Self-sustainable. So we got a comment here from Orient Preparedness. Pastor, you're definitely not like any of the pastors in my neck of the woods, Southwest Georgia. I like your message.
I'm coming there soon. That's where I'm going to live when I'm no longer living in Columbus. Is it really south? No, it's not really Southwest. It's actually Northeast Georgia. It's between Athens and Atlanta. But that's my family land, and that's where I want to be eventually. Nice, warm weather. I could play golf next month.
Nice, 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 nice. Again, folks, if you have questions, hit the chat box up there and ask your question. So let's talk a moment about the food constraints. And apparently this is something that's part of their plan.
Well, they have a couple of plans, and it's really one plan, but it has various aspects and facets.
Okay.
So the real plan is to reduce the population by half.
Yes.
And get the world population from about 8 billion to about 4 billion. One of the mechanisms to doing that is vaccines, and Bill Gates said that out of his own mouth. If you guys haven't seen the video documentary called Died Suddenly, it's probably a good one to take a look at. One of them is vaccines. The other one is food shortages, is to create a famine, get rid of people.
Yeah.
And so it is on purpose. And so number one, there's so much stuff in our food anymore that it has almost no nutritional value.
Yes.
And then secondarily, you make it so difficult to get or so expensive to get that most people can't afford it. Then you have to depend on the government or Bill Gates, the number one farm owner, land owner in America, farmland owner in America. Depend on him, a guy that says we shouldn't be eating any meat. We should only be eating meat that has been created in a lab, which has got to be full of every bad thing you can imagine. So if the food shortage is purposed, it's created, it is destructive, it is diabolical, and at this point, y'all, it's unavoidable.
Correct. So the question that Penny Pincher Prepping was asking was in relationship to the red heifer and the third temple in time that's built in Jerusalem.
Right. Well, the third temple is not going to be built. When it starts getting built, we know that the end is upon us, and we're talking really the time of the Antichrist for that third temple to be built. I am a pre-trib person, probably as much by theology as by desire. I really would prefer not to be here during that time. And I think that the Bible bears it out. So in my day, based on my theological presupposition, I will not see that. That will take place after I'm gone.
That's good. That's good. So Penny Pincher also said it states in the Bible that before the holy temple of God can be built, a 2-year-old unblemished red heifer must first be sacrificed before the ashes and also used to bless the priests.
Yeah, that is post-rapture stuff.
Okay. So that's after.
Yeah, so for those that believe in the rapture, I know that word is not in the Bible, the catching away, that is not the second coming of Christ. That happens 7 years after the rapture. Gotcha.
So during these times that we've been talking about, what should the church be doing throughout the world collectively?
Well, first of all, the church's mission doesn't change. The gospel of the kingdom must be preached to all creatures, then the end comes. Our goal is to save souls and to transform lives. So that mission doesn't change.
Okay.
The mission field may change, the culture may change, but that mission doesn't change. It's always our goal is to get people to heaven. That is our goal, to get them to come into relationship with Jesus Christ. They punch their ticket for eternity and they become disciples. That is immutable. That never ever changes under any circumstances, any time period. That's always the same. However, because that's the message, as it were, the methodology,
Once again, folks, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, share out this video, and
the methodology will have to change. And so I think even the means of sustenance for the church will have to change. We think in terms of being the church, we bring our 10%. Well, that's going to change. We're going to be bringing 100% because that is going to be our community that allows us to. It's not just going to be a place or a time of worship. All the things that we say about the Christian community, and we say them without really thinking about what they're saying. The Bible refers to the church as the household of faith, as the family of God. But historically, we haven't functioned as a household or a family because that communal living, really a challenge, is something that we've never, it's never been required. It's never been necessary. It's certainly not convenient. It's not easy, but the time is coming where we might have 25 people living in one house from the church.
Right.
And we got to be ready for that because now we think in terms of this is mine. This is my house. Now I don't live in a real big house. I live in a big enough house, and so my whole family, my 3 kids, their spouses, my grandkids, theoretically, we could all fit in my house. It won't be comfortable, but we can. And we might have to squeeze a few more people in here. And we might have to build a little barn or something where more people can live. So from a communal perspective, I think about the little bit of property that our church owns over near our church. Man, before you know it, that might end up being some sort of community garden. Right. Where we're growing vegetables and Trent and Steve are walking, patrolling Century so people won't come and take our vegetables with AR-15s. But that's what it may come to. Right. And the church has to be willing to adapt. And I continually make the same statement. We can no longer be an entertainment venue where somebody comes for 2 hours and gets their feel-good experience and then goes back home, because that home life is going to change. You may come to church on a Sunday and may not leave for 5 days.
That's true. And I've actually been thinking about that and how I would secure my home while I'm not here. And folks, that's something you have to think about if that's, what needs to be done as well. What do you think, Pastor, with everything in the war that's going on over there, what do you think that is going to lead to in our country here?
The war, honestly, I really can't tell you. I think that war is just a diversionary tactic.
Yes.
It's just a diversionary tactic. They're siphoning off money. They're covering their corruption. I don't know that it has any real significance as far as end times prophecy. I know that China, Iran, or Persia, Russia do have some. They may come into play there. I don't know how it's going to unfold as far as really quickly. When I say I'm surprised, this war is drug on now for literally a year.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be a quick, or at least the way it was presented, that it was going to be a quick in and out thing. It's not.
Right.
I
Right.
heard that upwards of 100,000 Russians may have lost their life in this war so far. So it's
Mhm.
very costly from a life perspective. Also, from American resources perspective, it's very costly. The real answer is, here's the real answer.
Okay.
The real answer. We have a lot of chumps sitting in positions of power.
Yeah.
And if we were not, like, the UN is completely useless. What I would not only boot them out of America, but I think it should be completely dismantled because they are not worth a plugged nickel. They're awful. And NATO is right behind them. You've got this
Yeah.
going on right in NATO's backyard, and they're saying, well, we're not going to do anything because it's not really a NATO member. But Vladimir Putin is selling wolf tickets like they're going out of style, telling people that if you let them into NATO, we're going to crush you. And so
Right.
the real answer is somebody's got to man up.
That's right.
Russia can't beat a real army right now. We've seen that with what's going on. Ukraine is over there fighting with slingshots.
Yes.
So we know they cannot defeat a real army. They can't even defeat Ukraine fighting with borrowed slingshots.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Good to see you, Billy. So Steve dropped a question here. Will there be a time we may have to leave behind everything we have built or have become familiar with?
There's a possibility. Some of us would be very reluctant to do that, in all honesty, because we're going to stand and fight. But I think there will be some. Bible says men's hearts failed them because of fear. There'll be a lot of people that would just up and leave everything and run away. Yeah, I think the fearful and those who are afraid certainly will. But if you love your family, you love America, you realize you have a right to it. And there's some things, this will be challenging for some of you, but there are some things worth dying for.
Yes.
And I'm not going to let somebody take what I've lived for and just push me off of it and run me into no, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get an easy win that way. So, if you come, you better bring Sherman tanks down Main Street.
Exactly. And we did see that here in Columbus back in the late 60s.
I wasn't around then, Trent. You're a little older than me.
Once again, knife in the back by the man of God that I love. Yes. Yes. So with that, folks, again, if you have questions, drop them in the question box at the front. What, Pastor, and I know we've talked about this. With everything that's really going on, why is it that, and I'll say most of the people in this country think everything's okay?
Well, because they're still able to have their needs met. They still got water. They can still have their coffee. They're in a heated home. They can still afford to put bread on the table. And oftentimes they're not seeing the big picture. And so the reality with humanity is most people cannot see any farther than the nose on their face.
Right. Absolutely.
And when we started this conversation, I said we're going to have to see sooner, clearer, and farther. We're going to have to see. And so when you see, the Bible says that the prudent man sees the evil before him and he avoids it. And so that's really what being prophetic is all about. It's what being a prepper is all about. I can see what's coming. Now, you only get sucker punched because you should have seen it and you didn't.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And folks, y'all have to forgive me because y'all know I can't multitask and listen to my guest and get in the chat, but they're saying a lot of great things about that. And you're absolutely right, Pastor. We've all talked about it, that people in this country are still comfortable. Therefore, they don't think anything is wrong. But, this regime that's in power, I'll say, they're whittling away little by little, or trying to take away things. It's like boiling the frog. You just turn the heat up a little bit at a time. So what's the best thing as a Christian, as a man or woman, to communicate what we see to other people?
I'm going to get to mention this that I thought about while you're talking.
Okay, go right ahead.
There had to be a lot of extra space on the ark.
Okay.
Noah's preaching this message, warning people.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody except his sons take heed to his warning.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're doing when you see prophetically what's going to take place. You warn, and maybe 8 people will get on the ark.
Okay.
But you don't change your message. You see it coming, and so when the rain started, I bet everybody said, "Hey Noah, there's going to be a moment when the things that we have been saying begin to manifest. When these things are going to begin to come to fruition, the proverbial handwriting on the wall will become discernible." And they're going to go, "Oh my God, they've been telling me. Remember the 10 virgins, 5 were wise, 5 were foolish.
Yes.
And there's going to be a point where those foolish virgins are going to say, "Hey, give me some of yours." That's why I said the church will not become a social services agency, because that would be the ones who minister to the foolish virgins. But the wise virgins, think about this. This is the co-op community that the church must become. The wise virgin said, "You were a fool. I'm not giving you my stuff."
That is true.
And it's tough, but that's where it's going to ultimately come from. So I'm sorry I talked over your question. So if you don't mind, if you remember it, ask it again.
I don't remember it, but you're fine. You you laid that out there, and I consumed it. I think my question was, but no, it wasn't. You did answer the question, because I was asked, how do we talk to these people? What do we, tell them? And you just laid it out there.
Listen, I think we have to keep warning people to the best of our ability, keep advising. By the same token, here's what's important, and it's important in all aspects of life, but specifically in this one. If you're going to talk the talk, make sure you also walk the walk.
Right. Absolutely,
Don't
folks.
tell me how important it is for me to prep and you're not prepped.
That's
Don't
right.
tell me how important it is for me to get myself ready and you're not doing what's necessary to get yourself ready. Because then your message is vain or it's empty. It's not believable if you don't believe it yourself.
Right. Exactly. And folks in the chat, we at least here on my channel and a whole lot of other content creators I know, everything I talk about, I do. And if I'm not doing it, I'm working on getting to that point where it's done. So, at the end of the day, you take away everything a man or a woman has, all they have is their word. And if their word is no good, they're of no value, period. With that, any other questions in the chat? Or I don't see any more questions in the comments. I'm going to put you on the spot, Pastor.
All right.
As a pastor, outside of bringing souls, saving souls, bringing them to the realization of Jesus Christ, what is the number one thing that you would consider in jeopardy in this coming year?
Freedom. And all of its tentacles. I think ultimately there has been a slow, steady, purposeful erosion of freedom, and ultimately there is an aspect of this that will push us right into slavery. It won't be based on ethnicity. it's going to be the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you get sideways, if you acquiesce to them taking away your freedom, they will give you what they call freedom.
Exactly.
But if you resist and declare, proclaim, decree, insist upon having real freedom, then you'll be marginalized. They'll throw you off YouTube. They'll throw you off Facebook, Instagram, Twitter may be a little bit more free these days, but that's just the start. You've seen what is it? Newsmax just got canceled from AT&T and Dish Network.
Yeah,
freedom is the thing. And here's the interesting thing, even from the perspective of being a pastor, which is the way Trent phrased the question. Our freedom is also at risk. Now, some pastors, if they took away your religious liberty from a speaking perspective, it wouldn't bother you anyway. But there are others who speak out and speak up. And and those are the ones where, because some people when there's religious liberty issues, some people are like, well, it doesn't really matter. Well, it doesn't matter to you. But I say things that they will tell me I shouldn't be saying. Right. And because of that, if they start taking away anyone's liberty, it always concerns me because I'm an outspoken person by nature. It's who God has created me to be. And I know that if they take away your freedom, it's only a matter of time before they take away mine. So the big deal I think that we should all be watching for is the erosion of our freedoms. Will it be Second Amendment? Yes. Probably just as important is the First Amendment.
Yes, absolutely.
As Dave Chappelle said, the First Amendment was the first thing they gave you, and the Second Amendment, they gave you that one just in case they try to take away the first.
Exactly.
And so I think those two things are going to be the axis upon which the transformation of our culture changes. First and Second Amendment they're going to do everything they can to shrink that.
Absolutely. We do have another question from Rip Curl Readiness. He says, what is your everyday carry and not just your firearm? What is in your pockets every day?
In my pockets?
Yeah, what do you carry other than just a firearm with you every day within your preparedness and day-to-day journey, if anything?
Well, there's a bag in my truck. It's not like a go bag, but it's go bag-ish. It is my it's what I would. It's not because it's not to get away. But if something happens, I keep some things in my truck in a bag that will assist me in survival with everything from tools to, since it's not my firearm, not a knife, and some first aid kit, and then some, what do you call them? They're like sea rations. It's a little bag. It's not a big bag, but if push came to shove and I had to make a run, I got a couple of days of survival with me. So
in other words, folks, he carries a get home bag in his truck so he can get home. That's good. That's good.
Now, the problem with me is I have 74 cars.
That's true. Yes, he has a lot of cars.
But my pickup truck is my daily driver. That's what if push comes to shove, now I need an older one. I need like a 60-something. I want something in case we have a one of those electromobility
EMP. Yeah.
Now I do have old cars. I have old cars that are pre-computer, but they're not those are me alone kind of cars. They're not something I can put my family in. But if I'm going to go road warrior, I've got something I can go road warrior in. But I'm going solo. That's when my family's going to be in some kind of bunker, as it were, and I'm in my road warrior car.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And folks, you hear it. Everything that my pastor hears, I hear it coming from him twice a week in the pulpit, period. He doesn't hold nothing back. He tells it like it is. He tells us what we need to do Yes, Asterian85, I will drop that link right now. What time is it? It is 9:38. And Pastor, I know I appreciate you, first of all, spending some time
Likewise.
This evening. And do you have any, I'm going to say parting, because you're going to have to come back, because every time you are on my channel, I get thousands and thousands of emails that say, when's he coming back? When's he coming back? So
I will tell you this. You will have to consider our time together tonight very important, very valuable to me. And I'll tell you why. Jordan is here.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, folks. So let me explain. Jordan is Pastor Haygood's granddaughter. And when she's around, she takes up all of Granddad's time. So, and nobody else can have time with him but her. So I truly appreciate you. Tell Jordan, thank you. So with that, would you like to say any parting words, Pastor?
No, just, keep your eyes open, keep your hearts open, keep your minds open. God is saying something and doing something in this season. And, the patriarch Jacob said, surely the Lord God was in this place and I didn't know it. Let's make sure that's not our testimony. God will show you how to survive and to thrive under all conditions in every situation. Just make sure that you're sensitive to him because he knows how to bring you to a place where he gets the glory and you walk in victory. And so all this stuff's going to happen. Listen, it may phase us, but it is not going to bring us to failure. We are going to win. We're going to be victorious. We're going to be triumphant. And that's why God gives us foresight and insight so that we can win anyway. So my parting words is just these two words: win anyway.
Exactly. With that, folks, I want to thank my amazing moderators, Donna Divine, Mad Shad, Triple Threat, Bouger Prepper, and everybody for coming and spending time tonight and listening to my friend, my pastor. And it is, I love hearing this man talk. I could just sit and listen to him all day, but I know his granddaughter takes priority. So with that, folks, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share out the video, and remember this, keep prepping, because your family depends on you and it depends on your night and life. God bless everybody. Have an amazing Thursday night. Have a great weekend, and we will see you soon. I'm Trent, and this is Vision Preparedness.